request video. Tramp, would you do me the kind favor of giving away the next pair of tickets that are up there?
Yeah, how do I do that?
You just say caller number 17.
Okay, caller 17 gets tickets to see Toad the Wet Sprocket. And the Gin Blossoms at Palladium on December 11th.
It's presented by Avalon Attractions. Thank you. Did it pain you to do that?
All comes back to me,
I'm very sorry. Gosh, I don't even. Okay, Down In It, the video behind Down In It. You guys have made like a lot of videos that have created stories around them. For instance, for Happiness and Slavery, they don't even want the videotape in the country in the UK at all. And then you did another video where there was genital piercing. And so that wasn't going to get much play. And then there's the story behind the video in Down In It, which unfortunately our copy of Down In It has been destroyed. So what happened with that, with H. Gun?
Another familiar story. In a nutshell, as my calculus teacher used to say, we filmed this video. Parts of it we had cameras on weather balloons filled with helium so we could start them and let them go up and reel them back down. That was the theory involved. And the lines to bring them back down weren't strong enough, and one of them just got away, and we were in Chicago, and we went to the roof of this building and looked, and it was a dot on the horizon somewhere. And I remember saying, I hope that doesn't fall and kill somebody, you know. So a year and a half later, I got a call from my manager saying, you're not going to believe what happened, but... And suddenly I thought, it fell and killed somebody. And it landed in some farmer's field in like 100 miles away. He found it, thought it was like a surveillance camera for marijuana or something. Gave it to the police, they developed the film, and it thought it was some kind of, a lot of it was like slow motion, and it was really strangely filmed. And they thought it was some kind of cult killing, because they saw me laying on the ground. So they gave it to the FBI, who then started this investigation, which tracked it down to Chicago because they could see the L trains and things. And you can see where this leads, you know, and they realized. But the best part of that was Hard Copy did a story on it. It was a classic piece of video if you ever see that thing.
Yeah, I'd like to. We have another phone call for you. Hello.
Hi, this is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
I had a question for Sean. Maybe the band could answer this as well. I've heard how Alan Jorgensen just gets completely wasted beyond belief before he goes into the studio. I wonder if that was sort of part of your creative process also, or what your creative process was like. And also, I've noticed that since the first record, you've sort of toned down the keyboard use, it seems, and I was wondering if you're going to go ahead and like completely phase them out, or what you were going to do.
What did you ask about Al? He does what?
Well, I was just sort of wondering about your creative process. I've read an article how he goes into the studio just completely wasted, and that's how he goes about it. I was wondering if you guys do that or what you guys do.
I don't think the studio has anything to do with Alan going and doing that.
No, I mean, different people...
Well, maybe that's the only way he operates.
Well,
yeah, I guess different people, you know, work different ways. We personally don't, because productivity grinds to a halt. And we never play that way either, because the shows are fun for us, but for everybody else they're pretty miserable. So inspiration, probably the main reason I don't have a double record ready to be released right now is that when I'm on the road I can't really write, because I have to just be alone and think about things and have some peaceful thought, time to think. And when you're on tour you don't, you're moved around and shuffled around like meat, etc. So, I don't know if that answers your question about inspiration. And the second part was regarding to keyboards on the new record. Almost everything on that's electronic. There's very little real guitar on that. It's just that I was finding a lot of the old keyboard sounds a bit dated and wanted to try something different. You know, I could make another album like Pretty Hate Machine in no time, but I didn't think that was a very fair challenge to myself. And so I wrote all these songs on guitar versus keyboard, which I can't play that well. So just a new way to try to not repeat myself and do the same thing over and over again.
You are when I had asked you about Nothing Records, I didn't know what it was because Nothing TVT, Interscope. It's a label that you're putting together. Why do you want to have the headache, as it were, or non-headache of having your own label?
Well, we have no desire to be, we being management myself, have no desire to be a full-fledged record label, because I tend to not like those kind of people. And the headaches involved with it, I have no desire to take on. But nothing provides us a barrier where Interscope essentially gives us money, we deliver them final records, videos, etc., where nobody's responsible or nobody has their hands in the pie except for me and our project. And that's not an example, I don't think, of megalomania as much as it is just creative control over the whole thing. And we have the option of signing other bands, maybe a couple at most, to give them a shell of freedom where they can just be left alone to make their music without record label people coming in and interfering or having marketing or commercialism enter into the equation. And that's nothing against Interscope Records, by the way, because they've been totally cool to us. But I've been in a bad deal. I've known what it's like to be, it's a terrible feeling to know what you want to do but can't get it done because someone with no taste is making you do it a different way, and then ultimately you're the one responsible to your fans. But it's hard to say, well, hey, I didn't want it to sound that way, but yeah.
Was Doing Broken cathartic for you? Because I was reading in the bio that you apparently wrote that it was made during a pretty horrible time, and that everything was pretty crappy at the time. Did it help kind of bring you out of that?
In retrospect, yeah. When we did it, it was terrible. We're in a scenario where it was the worst of the record label fighting going on before we had been rescued by Interscope. I was faced with the fact of every fan in the world of mine is on my back about when's a new record coming out. Knowing that I can't put a record out because I can't record it because I don't have a record deal. And if I did one with our old label, it would have been ruined. I couldn't take that chance. I'd rather have Nine Inch Nails just die than come out with a lighter, smoothed over project, you know. So we did it under different band names and in obscure little places, very depressing places I might add too. And just a heap of personal problems, everything at that time. It was just a way to get it out, and that's why that record sounds as mean as it does, I think. And I mean, I've had a lot of people say I miss elements of Pretty Hate Machine, and I realize that I purposely took a lot out on Broken. And I think I wrote good songs, but I tried to not make them as obvious. So there's no Head Like a Hole's, there's hooks, but you can't, sometimes you don't hear them the first time around, and you might have to work to listen. It requires a bit more work on the listener's side versus sit back and get hit over the head with a hook and say, oh, good song. Now you have to kind of decipher, and the lyrics are pushed back and everything.
Well, speaking of Head Like a Hole, we're going to watch that video. You're also going to see Black Flag TV Party. That's for Grant and West Hills. But right now, here is Head Like a Hole, and there have been several times, and you guys have heard me say this is just about my favorite video that's come out. So, hey! They all want to come up here and get things signed. Anyway, it's for Alfred and Southgate and Wendy and Cerritos.